Breaking today, shocking new details have emerged about why George and Amal Clooney ditched Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. I do love the fact that it is the Clooneys that are now delivering Harry and Meghan a taste of their own medicine. They're being ghosted. See how it feels? Not very nice, is it? But incredibly well deserved. This is so mortifying for Harry and Meghan because you can just imagine, Tash, they are really the ones that tend to ghost people. So the fact that they are now being ghosted is really interesting to me. Really impacted Prince Harry. He thought he was going to be boys with Clooney for life. And then the couple ditched him for the real royals, a friendship which had actually got remarkably close, even though they had quite wisely, I would say, from the Clooneys side of things, never been pictured publicly with Harry and Meghan. Yes, there they were turning up at the wedding. Quite rightly, they never got that public picture.
For years, Prince Harry reportedly believed he had one of the most valuable friendships in Hollywood. George and Amal Clooney were more than famous celebrities. They were widely seen as one of the world's most influential couples, moving comfortably between entertainment, philanthropy, international events, and high-profile social circles. According to recent reports, Harry genuinely expected the Clooneys to remain part of his close circle for many years.
Because what the Clooneys have done here isn't have a big falling out. So there hasn't been a big bust-up like the type of bust-up there was with the Beckhams. The Clooneys are just shrewd operators and soon realised that Harry and Meghan were revolting grifters who were going to throw their own family under the bus, and they were desperate to get back in with the royal family, which worked, by the way, because Charles is all over them.
There's definitely something that made George and Amal finally wake up. George was sympathetic when they left the royal family, but I believe that was George's loyalty to Diana.
Today, however, that friendship appears far less visible than it once was. According to various reports, Harry has reportedly been disappointed by the apparent decline in his relationship with George and Amal. What makes the situation especially intriguing is that there was no public dispute, no dramatic argument, and no headline-grabbing confrontation. Instead, the connection simply seemed to fade away. Over time, the invitations reportedly became less frequent. Public appearances together disappeared. The once prominent link between the Sussexes and the Clooneys gradually slipped out of the spotlight. Now commentators are asking a question that continues to attract attention. Did one of Hollywood's most influential couples quietly move on from the friendship? The story has drawn interest because George and Amal were not just another celebrity connection. During the height of Harry and Meghan's popularity, they were among the most recognizable names associated with the couple. Back in 2018, the Sussexes appeared to be at the center of global attention. Their wedding became an international event watched by millions, bringing together royalty, public figures, business leaders, and major celebrities from around the world.
Now, I love that. Can I just say I love that? And I'm no fan of the Clooneys, okay, who are awful woke lefties. I am no fan. I'm just being honest. Like the guy in ER, that's where it ends. However, I do love the fact that it is the Clooneys that are now delivering Harry and Meghan a taste of their own medicine. They're being ghosted. See how it feels? Not very nice, is it? But incredibly well deserved.
Among the guests were George and Amal Clooney, whose attendance immediately became a major talking point. At the time, many observers viewed it as evidence that Harry and Meghan had successfully bridged the worlds of royalty and Hollywood. The relationship appeared to develop quickly. Just months after the wedding, reports suggested Harry and Meghan were invited to George Clooney's famous Lake Como villa in Italy, a destination known for attracting some of the world's most influential visitors. Then, in 2019, George publicly defended Meghan as she faced intense media attention.
But I do find it funny because pretty much all of the A-listers that didn't know Harry and Meghan that were at the wedding have nothing to do with Harry and Meghan now. And they do work with the royal family. They are close to the royal family. You've got the Beckhams, for example. You've got the Elbas, Idris Elba. You know, he was the DJ at Harry's wedding.
The actor criticized what he viewed as unfair treatment and referenced the level of scrutiny often associated with Princess Diana. For Harry, those comments may have carried significant meaning. Very few public figures defended Meghan so strongly, and even fewer referenced his mother while doing so. From the outside, the friendship appeared stronger than ever. The Clooneys were no longer viewed simply as wedding guests. They seemed to have become trusted allies. Reports now suggest Harry believed both couples shared similar values and understood the pressures that come with global attention better than most people.
But I do believe that most of the people that were there, they were only there because they wanted proximity to the royal family. It was never about Harry and Meghan. So as soon as Harry and Meghan started burning those bridges, they'd already obviously just saw it as they're just grifters. They're a waste of time. We can't get anything from them. And then they went back to actually getting close to the royal family.
More importantly, he reportedly expected the friendship to endure. That's why what happened next continues generating discussion. After Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties and relocated to California, several celebrity friendships appeared to become less visible. But according to some reports, few changes attracted more attention than the apparent distance that developed between the Sussexes and the Clooneys. As the years passed, observers noticed there were no joint appearances, no public signs of a continuing friendship.
They just sort of quietly moved on. Oh yeah, we'll see you at some stage. Maybe we'll lend you our private jet again in 10 years' time. But it hasn't happened. And trust me, it will never happen.
And little indication that the once close connection remained as strong as before. And according to recent reports, Harry reportedly never expected things to unfold that way. That's why this story is no longer just about a celebrity friendship. It's about what may have happened when one of Hollywood's most influential couples appeared to quietly move in a different direction. At first, very few people seemed to notice that anything had changed.
Even though I do think George and Amal Clooney use a lot of their humanitarian work to push their own celebrity and business interest and profile, even they realized that Harry and Meghan were such faux humanitarians that it was just going to be bad for their brand.
They're toxic. They're toxic.
George and Amal Clooney were never known for constantly posting photos with friends or showcasing every social connection. But as time passed, royal commentators and entertainment reporters began pointing out something increasingly noticeable. The public connection between the Clooneys and the Sussexes appeared to have largely disappeared. The shift became especially noticeable after Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties in 2020 and relocated to California. The move was widely viewed as the start of a major new chapter.
But the fact that George defended her that one time, and then obviously when they continuously attacked the royal family, this wasn't the one interview that they said they were going to do when they appeared on Oprah. They just turned around and said, I don't actually think he defended them after Oprah. I think he initially defended Meghan when they first started the story, saying that they still wanted to be part of the monarchy. They just wanted to live in Canada. They wanted a quiet life. And I think that's when George was like, oh yeah, oh bless them.
No longer working royals, they were building a new identity in media, business, and public life. Given their previous relationship with the Clooneys, many observers assumed George and Amal would remain a visible part of that California chapter. That never seemed to happen. There were no major public appearances together, no widely publicized events attended as couples, no photographs reflecting the friendship that had once generated so much attention.
I am also told, by the way, the reason that this has hurt Harry so badly is because he really does connect Clooney with Princess Diana. You will remember in the days after Diana's death, Clooney really became the biggest international celebrity other than Tom Cruise to launch a lifelong campaign against the paparazzi. At the time, he was one of the most famous TV actors in the world.
The connection that appeared strong after the wedding gradually faded from public view. Then a series of developments added even more intrigue to the story. In 2023, George and Amal Clooney attended the King's Trust Awards, a major event connected to King Charles. Their appearance immediately drew attention because it came after several years of public debate surrounding Harry and Meghan's comments about royal life.
Everything about those two is completely toxic. They can't be ambassadors for child online safety, for being eco-warriors. They can't, everything that Harry and Meghan have done since they left the royal family, they've shown themselves to be complete and utter hypocrite.
By then, Harry's memoir, Spare, had already generated headlines around the world and sparked extensive discussion about family relationships and royal affairs. For critics, the contrast was difficult to ignore. While Harry continued speaking publicly about his experiences, George and Amal were attending an event supporting one of the King's major charitable initiatives. Whether intentional or not, many observers viewed the situation as a notable contrast.
A desperate desire to return to TV screens, this as a result of the dwindling money pool.
I'll defend them for a bit, but then it became more apparent that was just all a ruse. It was just one big con job, a smash and grab job. Harry and Meghan grabbed the titles, grabbed the cash, and then obviously wanted to flog it all in America. So he's steered clear from them.
Around the same time, reports began suggesting that Harry and Meghan were no longer closely connected to the Clooneys' social circle. Stories circulated claiming the Sussexes were not appearing at events linked to the couple's expanding philanthropic and charitable network. Then came perhaps the most talked about claim of all. According to various reports, Harry allegedly made efforts over the years to reconnect with George and Amal. Those reports suggested communication became increasingly limited. Messages were said to receive delayed responses, while potential meetings and invitations reportedly never developed into anything substantial. When contact did occur, it was often described by commentators as friendly, but noticeably more distant than before. No argument, no confrontation, and no dramatic falling out.
But insiders claimed Harry had taken the apparent loss of Clooney's friendship harder than almost any other. An insider telling the publication, of all the celebrity relationships that have quietly fizzled out since Harry and Meghan walked away from royal duties and reinvented themselves in California, this is unquestionably the one that has hit Harry hardest on a personal level and left him reeling with embarrassment that it's over. He truly believed George and Amal would become part of their inner circle for decades to come.
Just a growing sense of distance. That detail matters because public disagreements can often be repaired. Celebrity friendships survive disputes all the time. But when communication gradually fades away, rebuilding that connection can become much more difficult. According to sources cited in various reports, Harry reportedly found the situation especially difficult because there was never a clear explanation. No defining moment, no single event that officially ended the friendship. Instead, the relationship appeared to fade over time, leaving plenty of unanswered questions. One source claimed Harry genuinely believed the Clooneys would remain part of his family's life for many years. He reportedly viewed them as trusted friends who understood pressures that very few people experience. If true, that would make the reported distance feel even more significant. Because from Harry's perspective, this wasn't simply another celebrity connection disappearing. This involved one of the most recognizable and influential couples in the world. And according to those reports, watching that connection slowly fade left him feeling disappointed and unsettled.
At this point, her public image feels like a collection of other women's identities. I thought this was a very good point, Tash. Princess Diana, Princess Catherine, Angelina Jolie, Emma Thin, the Marchioness of Bath. No one seems safe from becoming Meghan Markle's latest personality if they're famous.
There was the last time we saw her was when she, well, to do with the couple, was when she did go to the baby shower over in New York. She apparently, I think, stumped up some money to go towards it alongside Serena. And there's one photograph when they were doing the floral arranging, and Amal is there next to Meghan, and Meghan just looks angry as she's flower arranging. It's Meghan, you know. And it's funny that that seems to have been the last time that they were ever seen together.
The longer the silence lasted, the more noticeable it seemed to become. By that stage, royal commentators had already started asking whether the apparent distance from the Clooneys reflected a broader challenge facing Harry and Meghan. Was it simply a friendship evolving over time? Or was it part of a larger pattern that some observers believed was becoming harder to ignore? As people examined the timeline more closely, many noticed that the reported distance appeared to grow during the same period that relations between Harry and the royal family were becoming increasingly strained. And that raised a much bigger question. Why did George and Amal Clooney appear to step back? The reality is that nobody outside the two couples knows exactly what happened behind the scenes. Neither George nor Amal Clooney has publicly announced the end of any friendship, and Harry and Meghan have never directly addressed the speculation.
And the Clooneys, actually, credit to them for never actually getting the public picture, which Harry and Meghan so desperately wanted.
She is a mimic. This is how Meghan builds her relationships with people. This is how she duped Harry. She mimicked Diana. This is what Meghan does. I mean, I'm sure a psychologist could diagnose it a bit better than what I could. But I believe that when Meghan says, "Today, Matthew, I'm going to be a humanitarian," she flicks through and goes, "Right, this is going to be my Angelina Jolie outfit." And then the next day she's like, "Right, I'm going to be today a fashionista."
That hasn't stopped royal commentators and entertainment observers from offering theories, however. One of the most common explanations focuses on the period after Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties. When the Sussexes first announced their departure, many public figures appeared supportive. The decision was presented as a move toward greater independence and privacy. At that stage, George Clooney had already publicly supported Meghan, particularly regarding media coverage and public scrutiny. But as time went on, the story became more complicated. The Oprah interview generated headlines around the world and sparked one of the most widely discussed royal controversies in recent years. Suddenly, private family matters were being discussed on an international stage, creating months of intense media attention. Then came Netflix. Then came Spare. Then came additional interviews, documentaries, public comments, and media appearances. Each new project sparked fresh discussion. Each new release renewed public debates surrounding Harry and the royal family.
You know, she is just a continuous stream of a dressing up box. She's constantly trying on other people's skin, as it were. And it's creepy, but then at the same time, it's become comical because we can see it. You can see it all of the time. She's never once really, I don't think, shown her own personality. She's always trying to mimic or to copy someone because she's got nothing original about her.
For some observers, this may have been the point where attitudes within certain Hollywood circles began shifting. Many celebrities are comfortable watching controversy from a distance. Far fewer want to find themselves closely associated with it. That theory gained attention because George and Amal Clooney have spent years carefully shaping their public image. They are closely associated with philanthropy, international law, humanitarian work, and major charitable initiatives. Their public profile is often linked to influence, prestige, and long-term stability. Critics argue that the Sussexes increasingly became associated with a very different kind of media attention. Instead of consistently generating positive headlines, they often found themselves at the center of public debates. Discussions about family relationships, business ventures, media projects, and public messaging frequently dominated coverage. With nearly every major appearance, a new conversation seemed to emerge. For observers who focus on public image, some commentators believe a highly visible association may have become less appealing over time. Another factor often mentioned is the royal family itself. Unlike many Hollywood celebrities, George and Amal have continued appearing within charitable and royal-adjacent circles connected to the monarchy. Their attendance at the King's Trust Awards was widely viewed as a sign that those relationships remained active.
Yeah, they've done it in such a way where they just completely cut them off, so it didn't allow any of these, tit for tat sort of celebrity arguments, or like people stir it up and they're like, oh, there's been a bit of a fallout. No, there was just absolutely nothing.
For critics of Harry and Meghan, that appearance carried significant symbolic weight. It suggested that while the Sussexes were increasingly operating outside traditional royal circles, the Clooneys continued maintaining connections with figures linked to the institution. Whether that interpretation is fair or not, it quickly became part of the broader discussion. Then there may be the simplest explanation of all: opportunity. Many commentators have pointed out that numerous celebrities who attended Harry and Meghan's wedding were not necessarily longtime personal friends beforehand. The wedding was one of the most talked about events in the world. Invitations came with prestige, enormous media attention, and proximity to one of the most recognized institutions on the planet. But after Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties, some observers believe the value of those connections may have shifted. Certain royal commentators argue that celebrities who were initially drawn to the glamour and influence surrounding the monarchy eventually realized that Harry and Meghan occupied a very different position after leaving official royal life. Again, there is no public evidence proving that theory. However, the perception continues fueling discussion online. What makes the Clooney story particularly notable is that it fits into a narrative some critics have been discussing for years. That narrative suggests many of the influential figures once regularly linked to Harry and Meghan are no longer publicly visible in their lives.
In Harry's mind, they were not just famous acquaintances from the wedding guest list. He saw them as powerful friends who understood the pressures of global scrutiny, philanthropy, and public life in a way very few people could. Indeed, he thought there was a special bond.
Whether that perception reflects reality is impossible to verify. But in celebrity culture, perception often becomes a story of its own. And right now, that perception remains difficult to ignore, because when one of the world's most influential couples appears to quietly move in a different direction, people naturally begin asking questions. And once those questions start, they rarely remain focused on a single friendship alone. What makes the situation especially uncomfortable for some observers is not simply the reported distance between the couples. It's where George and Amal Clooney appeared to be spending their time instead. While Harry spent recent years discussing his experiences with royal life through interviews, documentaries, and his memoir Spare, the Clooneys increasingly appeared at events connected to charitable and royal organizations linked to the monarchy. One of the clearest examples came when George and Amal attended the King's Trust Awards. The event, closely linked to King Charles and his charitable work, immediately attracted attention from royal commentators.
I do find it funny that all of those people that they invited that they didn't know to basically name drop. But yeah, now they have nothing to do with them. It seems that Harry and Meghan just burn bridges with absolutely everybody.
For years, Harry had presented himself as operating outside the institution he once represented. Yet one celebrity couple he was reportedly close to was now appearing at a major event connected directly to his father. The contrast was difficult for many observers to ignore. Back in 2018, Harry and Meghan appeared to represent the future. They were young, internationally recognized, and attracting enormous attention from both royal watchers and Hollywood. Many believed the couple would become one of the monarchy's strongest links to the entertainment world. Instead, the years that followed brought a very different outcome. Harry and Meghan stepped away from royal duties. They relocated to California. They signed major media agreements. They released documentaries. They published books. At the same time, relations with senior members of the royal family became the subject of increasing public discussion. Meanwhile, George and Amal largely stayed out of public family disputes.
Well, she's moved on to another humanitarian now, Tash. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
It's Queen Esther who has done some brilliant work on this, posting Meghan Markle putting on the Angelina Jolie humanitarian face again.
They did not publicly involve themselves in debates surrounding Harry's claims and experiences. Instead, they remained focused on their own projects, philanthropy, legal work, and international engagements. For critics, that created a striking comparison. One couple appeared to be moving further away from the institution. The other appeared comfortable maintaining connections around it. The symbolism became even more notable because George Clooney had once publicly defended Meghan. His comments in 2019 generated headlines around the world and positioned him as one of the most recognizable celebrity voices expressing support for her. Yet after those remarks, there was little public evidence of continued involvement. No major interviews supporting Harry and Meghan during the aftermath of the Oprah interview, no public comments during the release of Spare, no visible role in many of the debates that surrounded the Sussexes over the following years.
Interesting details has also emerged this week, Tash, about more of the fallout between Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Zara, and Mike Tyndall.
For royal commentators, that silence became a story of its own. The absence attracted attention because George Clooney is not generally known for remaining quiet about issues he strongly cares about. Throughout his career, he has spoken publicly on humanitarian, social, and international matters. When he supports a cause or individual, he has often shown a willingness to do so openly. That's why many observers found the lack of visible public involvement increasingly noteworthy. A friendship that once seemed strong enough to generate international headlines had become almost invisible. And while Harry's relationship with the monarchy remained a major public topic, the Clooneys appeared to be moving through royal and charitable circles without any obvious public connection to him. For critics of the Sussexes, it became another sign that Hollywood dynamics may have shifted. People who once appeared eager to stand alongside Harry and Meghan were no longer being seen publicly in the same way. The George Clooney story might have remained nothing more than an isolated rumor if it involved only one celebrity couple. But critics argue it fits into a broader pattern. When Harry and Meghan married in 2018, their guest list was filled with famous names.
I believe Meghan would have been fueling that one. I believe it would have been perfect for Meghan to turn Harry against yet another family member that she knows she's close with. Whilst there's lots of things that I do not blame Meghan for with Harry's behavior and his decisions and his actions, she definitely manipulated him. So the first people that he fell out with had to be Catherine because she was a female influence in his life. He had obviously grown very, very close to her. He saw her as a sister. For Meghan, that was a threat. She needed to control him. So for seeing something like this pop up at the wedding, I believe she would have been, look at her face. I can't believe she did that. That's humiliating for us. She would have definitely been that bug in his ear. So then he would have said something.
Actors, athletes, television personalities, media executives, and international celebrities packed St. George's Chapel. The guest list itself became a major headline. Many attendees had little publicly documented connection to Harry or Meghan before receiving an invitation. Even so, the wedding was one of the most prestigious and widely watched social events in the world, and many major figures from the entertainment industry were eager to be part of it. At the time, the Sussexes appeared to be building an impressive network of influential connections. But years later, royal commentators began asking a simple question: where are those connections now? David Beckham is often mentioned as one example. The Beckhams attended Harry and Meghan's wedding and were once widely viewed as being on friendly terms with the Sussexes. However, reports of tensions later surfaced, and in recent years, David Beckham has become more closely associated with projects connected to the royal family. His public relationship with King Charles and Prince William has generated far more headlines lately than anything involving Harry and Meghan. Then there is Idris Elba. The actor famously worked as a DJ during Harry and Meghan's wedding celebrations.
Some of those pictures, Tash, are just pretty damning, aren't they?
Yeah, of course they are. She's got no personality of her own. She is a mimic.
And was one of the most recognizable celebrity guests connected to the event. Since then, Idris has continued participating in charitable initiatives and projects linked to royal organizations. His professional involvement with those causes remains visible, while any public connection to Harry and Meghan appears far less prominent today. For critics, examples like these support a familiar narrative. Many celebrities who were once regularly associated with the Sussexes now appear, at least publicly, to be more closely linked to the royal family than to Harry and Meghan themselves. Whether that perception is accurate or not, it has become a frequent topic of discussion. The wedding that once highlighted Harry and Meghan's remarkable influence can look very different when viewed through the lens of everything that followed. Several celebrity friendships that generated major headlines in 2018 simply do not attract the same attention today. Some relationships faded naturally, others became linked to reports of disagreements.
But he writes, in the years following the pair's Megxit and the Mooney couple's move to California in 2020, many of those friendships reportedly faded.
And some, like the reported Clooney situation, seemed to fade so gradually that many people only noticed much later. That's one reason the current speculation has attracted so much interest. It's not only about George and Amal, it's also about a broader discussion surrounding Harry and Meghan's post-royal life. Back in 2020, many supporters predicted the Sussexes would become major figures in Hollywood. Their combination of global recognition, media deals, celebrity connections, and royal history appeared incredibly powerful. Yet several years later, critics point to a growing list of former high-profile associates who are no longer publicly linked to them. The Clooneys, the Beckhams, and various celebrity figures connected to the wedding era. Every situation is different. Every relationship has its own story and circumstances. But together, these examples have helped shape a narrative that continues to follow Harry and Meghan wherever they go.
There has even been years, by the way. This is what's so mortifying of Harry trying to rebuild contact because he believed George and Amal would become part of their inner circle.
It's a narrative that asks whether some of the influential figures who were once closely associated with the Sussexes have gradually moved on, and whether the apparent disappearance of George Clooney from Harry's public life is simply the most high-profile example so far. What makes this story especially intriguing is that there was never a public fallout. When reports emerged about Harry's friendship with the Beckhams cooling, headlines quickly followed. Similar attention surrounded other rumored disagreements. But with George and Amal Clooney, there was no dramatic confrontation, no public criticism, and no headline-making interview. Instead, the connection simply appeared to fade from view. According to reports, that may be exactly why the situation attracted so much attention. There was no clear explanation, no defining event, and no obvious moment people could point to. One day, the Clooneys appeared to be among the Sussexes' most visible celebrity allies.
The snub left Prince Harry reeling with embarrassment. Duke of Sussex feels painfully frozen out by one of the world's most influential celebrity couples.
Years later, they appeared largely absent from Harry and Meghan's public world. For a couple once viewed as operating at the intersection of royal and Hollywood circles, the apparent loss of such a high-profile connection naturally raised questions. And for critics, those questions have only become louder over time. Only George Clooney, Amal Clooney, Harry, and Meghan know what truly happened behind the scenes. Friendships evolve. People move in different directions. Public appearances do not always reflect private relationships. But certain facts continue drawing attention. The couple who once attended Harry and Meghan's wedding welcomed them to Lake Como and publicly defended Meghan are no longer visibly linked to the Sussexes. Whether the friendship gradually faded or something more significant occurred remains unknown. One thing, however, is clear. The relationship that once looked like one of the strongest celebrity connections surrounding Harry and Meghan no longer appears as visible as many people once expected. And for Prince Harry, that may be one of the most talked about chapters of his post-royal journey so far.